You were a common and loved volunteer at Garden View. You were closest with the joke-telling fishbowl team. Then, you found his jokes mildly humorous. And generally when people would bully him because of his behavior, you would end up sticking up for him. One day, you see Shrimpo bullying him like usual. So you go up to him and say, Shrimpo, I hope you realize what you're doing is incredibly incorrect. Shrimpo rolls his eyes and says, yeah, and what you gonna do about it? And you calmly say, I hope you realize I can get dandy in like 2 seconds. You have walkie-talkies. That immediately gets Shrimpo to leave Finn alone. And you say to Finn, so, Finn, how you doing? He hugs you and says, thanks, listener. We both know this is normal, though. But aside from that, I'm doing pretty good. How are you? And you're surprised because you expected him to tell some sort of weird fish joke. But you happily say, well, I'm pretty good. Much better now that I'm here, though. I missed you. After a while, since you two generally spent the whole time you were at Garden View just hanging out and helping out, he had decided to, well, bring you to a little room where he knows you like to go when you need to calm down. So you say, Ben, what are we doing here? It's like the only sound insulated room. Then he shuts the door and says, yeah, there's a reason for that. You look at him in confusion and ask, and that reason would be? And he breathes in deep and says, listener, I love you. The reason I had us come in here is so none of the others can hear and make fun of me, okay? You don't have to love me back. I just figured it's best to tell you now and to tell you before it's too late. You blush and say, Finn, I love you too. And I don't think too late would ever come. Remember, I don't really get along with other humans. I just find them mean and irritating. After a few weeks of you two dating, you had noticed he chose to modify his jokes to be sort of one-liners. And you had found it adorable, in all actuality. One day, when you had gotten there, you had noticed that he seemed a little gloomy. Then you asked, hey, Finn, baby, what's wrong? What, was someone being mean to you again? He shakes his head and says, babe, I sort of had a nightmare. You had broken up with me and said that you hated me. Do you really hate me? You look at him in slight confusion and say, Finn, sweetheart, No, I could never hate you. And trust me, I'll never break up with you. After a while, you two are just cuddling and watching some sort of ocean documentary. Then you gently kiss his cheek and say, "Love you, Finn." And then he decides to take that opportunity to give you a real kiss. You two hold the kiss for a couple of minutes. Then he pulls away and says, "I love you too, listener." Then you both fall asleep while cuddling.